Hi, everybody. Welcome. Kimberly Lebbing here. Tonight, I'm going to talk about, do you make these success mistakes? And again, my name is Kimberly Lebbing, and I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, and success-driven professionals who are stuck or struggling in their business or their relationships. I have a fast way to fix that problem in 4 hours or less. So let's get back to, do you make these success mistakes? So one of the main reasons that we struggle with success in different areas of our lives has to do with our internal programming or what we've been taught unconsciously. So this includes how we grew up. It includes the people that we've been around, things that have happened to us throughout our lives, our unconscious mind. And maybe you've heard this, it runs 90% of what we do. The really fascinating factor is most of that is repeated day after day. So unless we are really intentional with how we think with our words and our intentions, that unless we do that, we're going to remain stuck. Another piece of this is sometimes that programming that's happened to us from our past, or maybe some things that have happened to us, those are the things can really keep us stuck, because that internal programming, that 90% that's running all the time, is not even aware that there is a problem. And if it is aware that there is a problem, so if you are aware, you may not even know what it is. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about how that happens, and then what you can do about it. So the thoughts and words of other people, those imprint on ourselves, even as a child, as we're growing up. Maybe you've gone through some things even in your adult life. I know several people that I've worked with that have gone through divorces. Well, anytime you go through things, whether it be in your past or even in your adult life, it affects our ability to reach our goals in our business. There's no way to not connect the two. They are related. Even though we say, oh, we have life balance, and, I go over here to this office and I do this, it's still connected. You still bring it home. How you do your business, how you reach your goals is directly affected by those things. So our internal and external language that we're using also affects us greatly. I know you've probably heard this, but we really have to be intentional with our words and speaking success rather than defeat, or, whatever it may be. Those are huge keys. And I think that a lot of times we get into, because that 90% keeps running over and over again, we're not even really paying attention. And then we don't understand why we're stuck or why we're struggling. So it's that programming, and then it's like a record that keeps playing. So it's almost like we have to go in and if you've ever had a record, I'm probably saying my age here, but you can scratch it and then it can't play anymore. That's literally what we have to do to disrupt the pattern that's going on with our unconscious mind, to keep going and stop the behavior from happening. So we are constantly programming ourselves. And the program that we're doing a lot of times happens because of the things that we have gone through in our past. And like I said, even our adulthood, every time something happens to us, it makes an imprint. And we view it just a little bit differently. And if this happens enough, it can most definitely affect your perception, your decisions, and your actions in your business and in your personal life too, in your relationships. So we always have a choice. a lot of times we think, we have 50,000 thoughts going through our head every single day, probably even more than that, but 50,000 is the current number that the experts are saying. We hear all these thoughts going through, and we don't really think too much about it or pay attention to it very much. But if we can direct those and be more intentional about what words and what thoughts are going through our head, we can direct our success and change the course. So another huge key that people don't realize that they're doing when it comes to success is what is going on in our memories. So your subconscious mind is responsible for storing memories. It learns behavior from those memories, and those behaviors end up becoming our reality or our actions, which does affect our reality. So most of the time we're completely unaware that this is happening. And until we get to the core problem, to that first thing that happened, that caused it in the first place, we're going to keep struggling. So although the words and the mindset, like that's all super, super important. But what people don't realize, successful people don't realize, is that if you are still struggling, there's something there that has to be cleaned up. There's something there. There's a root. You have to get to the root cause. So how do we do that? We ask ourselves better questions. So one of the things that I do when I work with people is, whatever problem that they're dealing with, whether, maybe they're not consistent in their business, maybe they're struggling with relationships, they've gone through a divorce, or, maybe the business isn't going quite as well. Maybe they have some guilt with the family and doing their business and the time that they're spending in their business, and they feel like they want to be with family, and it's all mixed up, and it ends up creating guilt for them, which is not good, because then it ends up being counterproductive, and unconsciously you're doing things that cause you not to succeed because of these things. So when you get to the core reason, that's when you can pull it out by the roots. So asking yourself, what is the problem? Like, what is the problem, and how is that a problem? And really digging deep into what that core problem might be. The second piece of this is asking yourself what caused it, or getting to when it first happened. Because when you can identify that and then learn from that, I know if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you know that when we learn from our mistakes, or we learn from our, whatever it is we're going through, that moves us forward. And when you can learn from that, that's a huge piece. And then the third piece is taking whatever that problem was that you've identified and reframing it so that it is no longer a problem. And then that totally uproots it. So get to the problem, get to the cause, and then pull it out by the roots. This takes some digging. So if you're doing this alone, you're doing this on your own, I would suggest get yourself a journal, pull that out, and really dig deep into what the problems are, so that you can connect the dots and have some success there. These are the things that people don't think about. I see people, they're posting affirmations, they're reading books, they're listening to podcasts, they're doing all the right things. And I know, because I've done it too. I've been there. And it was almost like, it was like a Band-Aid on this like festering wound that wasn't really getting better. And I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And it wasn't until I really learned that I needed to bring up whatever was in the unconscious mind here. I mean, I point to my heart because I feel like that's where it is. But what's in there, when you can bring that up to the conscious mind, that's when change happens. That's when change happens. When we keep running that record that goes over and over again, and we're just kind of mindlessly going through life, that's when we remain stuck. So taking that needle and stopping it is a huge key to being successful. So identify the problem, get to the root cause, pull that sucker out by the roots, scratch that record so that you can move on and have some success. So if you liked this video, I've got a private Facebook group I would love for you to join. I'll put a link in the comments of this video. And I share tips and things in there all the time. Every week I go live and go even a little deeper than what I did on this video. Would love for you to join me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next video.